Good morning. This is the Reverend Jason Van Borsum with St. Mark the Evangelist Anglican Church in Waxahachie, Texas. I wanted to offer a brief reflection today on the question, what is a rule of life? What is a Christian rule of life? Well, a rule of life is an ordered and disciplined commitment to live one's Christian life in a particular way. Typically, a Christian rule of life includes a daily, regular prayer rhythm, the study of Scripture, fasting, the giving of charity, what we call almsgiving. There are many more. But a rule of life can be followed individually as well as in community. The earliest example of a communal way of life in the church is the life of those we call the Desert Fathers. These were mystics in the 3rd century AD, primarily in Egypt. St. Anthony established a rule of life as part of founding the first monasteries of the Christian Church. The most famous rule of life is probably the rule of Saint Benedict, which is a detailed guidebook, dates to the 6th century, that is the 500s AD. And the rule of Saint Benedict was compiled to instruct a Christian how to apply his or her faith within the context of the rhythms and flow of daily life. The rule of life, according to St. Benedict, has been described as living in the sacramentality of the ordinary, that is, the holiness of the everyday. A Christian rule of life is clearly rooted in Scripture. The teachings and sayings of Jesus are instructive. Be a servant to all, Mark 10. Love one another, John 13. Denial of self, Mark 8. Offer charity to all who ask, Matthew 5. St. Paul's instructions to the church also form a biblical basis for a rule of life. One example is his teaching in 1 Thessalonians that a Christian must rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and give thanks to God in all circumstances. In the context of the Anglican tradition, a rule of life includes a disciplined commitment to prayer, including what we call morning prayer and evening prayer especially, celebrating and receiving Holy Communion or the Lord's Supper every week, observing all holy days on the calendar of the church, evangelism and mission work, that is outreach and service, and a lifelong commitment to Christian education. I would sum up the spirit of the Anglican version of the Christian rule of life as a life dedicated to prayer, worship, service, and study. So are you looking for more? Are you looking to grow and mature in your faith and your discipleship, your walk with Christ? A sacramental life to nourish you? A changeless faith to change you? A community to embrace you? Well, check us out on Facebook, St. Mark the Evangelist Anglican Church, or come see us in person if you are in North Texas. St. Mark the Evangelist Anglican Church, historic Christianity in historic Waxahachie, Texas. God's peace. God bless you today.